What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up, what up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
What's up, Rebels? Welcome back to Rebel Radio, the weekly show where I talk to the rebels that are shaping youth culture. We find out how they do it, why they do it, and what you can do to get a little piece of the pie for yourself. We're also the only show to bring you new music every week from our friends over at EDM.com. Name is Josh Levine. I'm your host, and this week we're back with the Artwork Rebels series in partnership with Guerilla One and my co-host, my man Eddie Donaldson. Our guest today in studio with us is the one and only Estevan Oriol. Estevan is an incredibly talented photographer, filmmaker. He's involved in streetwear, design. This dude is multi-talented, known all over the world for his photographs, not only of famous people, but also of street culture, gang life. He really digs in deep, and we're going to talk about that with him. We also have some amazing lessons from Estevan about working with your heroes, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but I would say what to do when things don't go according to plan. Great stories coming up on Rebel Radio after the EDM.com track of the week.
Try to tell a nigga I'm the wrong nigga you should fuck with today. Walk into the club and all the bottle bitches start to whisper hooray. See me in the kitchen, cook it up, watch it rise like a souffle.
Here that was Born Eye Music and Sloth Syndrome with Hooray, the EDM.com track of the week. If you like that one, get over to EDM.com, check out more new music. And now let's get into the interview with Estevan Oriol.
Black ice dripping from my earlobe, so the sound slide and it crashed into my ear hole. Feeling isn't anything that I can say I fear most. Not trying to
I remember how that. Go ahead. I was friends with Danny Boy from House of Pain. He was like, yo, we're going on this tour with Biohazard and Korn. Want you to come along. I was like, okay, cool. So we jumped in this little white van at 8 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. And we pull up to this building on Las Palmas and Waring, right down the street. And Estevan runs down with his luggage and jumps in the van. That's the first time I ever met Estevan.
Nice. What year was that?
92, 93?
92, probably.
Yeah. Neighbor of the Beast was the name of the tour.
Okay.
Jesus.
And I was basically his assistant for the most part.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, like go do this, go do that. You know, he didn't want me to do too much because I wasn't all that capable.
What's Eddie like as an assistant?
He's cool. Like, you know, when you have somebody that wants to do something, it's cool. Like, when they want to learn.
Yeah.
Because, like, between Cypress and House of Pain, because I tour managed House of Pain for 3 years, 92, 93, 94. Then I switched over to Cypress Hill, 94 to 2005. And we went through, the cool thing about them is they gave all their homies jobs. So, like with House of Pain, we had a guy who we were teaching him how to do lights. Domo, yeah. We had, you know, Eddie, I was teaching him how to, you know, do the whole tour managing type thing and merchandise thing. And there's just so many elements to a tour manager people don't know about that I probably wouldn't have taken the job if I knew it was that much, you know. Like when Muggs hired me, he was like, yo, you just gotta, you know, take the guys to their interviews and make sure they get to the hotels and the airports on time, and you know, it should be pretty easy. Like the first couple weeks, it was like that, you know.
Yeah.
And we just were doing a promo tour. We were in a white van, and we drove around the East Coast, and we had a lady from Tommy Boy Records, and she took us to all the college radio shows and did little, you know, studio interviews like this, and then Jump Around blew up, and it was over. Like, you know, then we went to the Prevost, you know, tour buses, and we were flying, and we were doing 3 shows in a night in a limousine. Like they had a DAT which played the music. It was 7 minutes long. It was the intro and Jump Around, and we'd go to different
spots
clubs each night and knock that out like 3 times a night.
Crazy.
So when you take homies out on the road, it's a cool vibe because they're your friends, and you're starting out in the beginning. But once you get into the big times and the big arenas or stadiums and stuff like that, it's like you see kind of where the professional tour guy comes into play. You're like,
changes a little bit.
yeah, everything changes. You're like, oh shit, this is the big boys.
Yeah.
And if you have guys like Eddie that are smart and they want to learn, then it's easy to adapt to that. But there's some homies that just want to smoke weed,
Of course. They want
and
to hang
fuck
out.
bitches, and just live the high life but not do any work.
Yeah.
And we went through about 50 of them,
I'm sure.
and they would come and go, and some of them would go crazy on the road and like literally lose it.
Get sent home early.
Yeah, get sent home early, get beat up, and just all kinds of shit. It was weird. Like, I don't know, touring affects people in different ways. And traveling with a tight group,
Of course, yeah.
in tight quarters.
Yeah.
But it was fun, man. I wouldn't have changed nothing about it.
Nice. Well, I got some questions about that, but I want to go back and kind of start at the beginning and how you got even to that point. So I always like to start with, do you remember the first record you ever bought?
No. Because I bought thousands of them, and I've gotten given to me thousands of records. So I have no idea of the first record I ever bought, but because when I was growing up, there was like on the KDAY, there was a Mix Master show, and KJLH, they went on to that later. And we didn't buy records really.
Sure.
We would tape the shows.
Yeah.
We'd get a cassette tape and tape like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm going to this party. What are you doing tonight? I'm going to stay home and tape the Mix Master show on KDAY. And I'm like, what? Well, let me get a copy when it's done. I'm like, nah, cool. You can hear it when you're rolling with me, but I'm not going to sit at home and make copies for everybody when you guys are out partying and I'm
That's
doing
right.
this shit. So
That's funny.
that's kind of how we used to listen to music, and other friends would give you a tape. Like if you made a tape and I didn't make it that night, to tape mine, like we would trade. It was kind of like the same as like trading baseball cards back then. We trade mixtapes and music and stuff. And it wasn't until later when I got like turntables that I started buying records, and by then there's no way I could remember.
Were you DJing?
Yeah, I DJ'd a couple, I used to work with Mike Messick's, and I was like his assistant, and, I would carry all his equipment in and with him and, set him up, and we would DJ at like bar mitzvahs, fraternity parties, clubs, like weddings, everything you could imagine DJing at.
Sure.
We did it, and so that's kind of how I learned how to do the DJing thing. He would tell me, "Hey man, you go ahead. I'm gonna go eat and take a break." I'm like, "Yeah, cool, no problem." So I would DJ there, and then like I would DJ some after hours clubs, and then later in life I would be DJing. I would be standing in for Muggs, and DJing during the Cypress Hill sets from I think 95, 96, 97.
Okay.
And that was crazy, because like everybody goes, it's not really DJing because you're pushing the DAT machine or the sampler. I forget what it's called, the 360 sampler that they have at the radio shows.
Oh yeah.
But you have to scratch and play music in between, like during the
can't jump the
choruses,
needle,
and you have to play music in between songs while B's talking and shit like that, and you fuck up on one of those things, and like 20,000 people hear your fuck up, and like the whole shit stops,
Right.
Yeah. I've seen it happen like a gang of times when there was like malfunctions in the DAT player or something like that, and everybody'd be like, oh, you know, look at his fucking turntable turned off. And it's like, no, the DAT player turned off because of the condensation in the club.
Yeah.
And now we're all fucked. And the reason why they wouldn't play records on every show, you know, every concert during hip hop is because one, the band would be jumping around and the needle would just go flying everywhere.
Yep.
Two, they didn't make instrumentals for every single song, so they had to have it on DATs and on those 360 samplers, and it was just, you know, that was part of the show. But I forgot what the question. Yeah, the records. But before that, I was working at clubs doing like security, doorman, and VIP list guy. At nighttime, I was doing construction during the day.
Okay.
And that's how I met everybody in the music game, working at the clubs. You know, Cypress Hill, Booyah Tribe, Ice-T, Syndicate, Family, you know, Everlast. Pretty much all the LA local bands I met because, you know, I was working at the club and everybody used to go out back then. And everybody was in the same club. There was no, really like no VIP section. There was no bottle service.
Right.
Like people
Yeah,
would,
everybody was there together.
if you bought champagne, it was $100 because that's what it cost at the liquor store.
Sure.
You buy a $100 bottle of Dom Perignon, you would be drinking it at the side of the dance floor, watching girls dance, or you would be drinking it at the bar with your homies. There was none of this like table service and bar service and bottle service and girls in bikinis with, you know, fireworks walking through the club. Just like everybody go to the club, have drinks, hang out with, you know, cool people, and, you know, everybody go to the after party after up in Hollywood Hills, and you know, somebody's mansion, or it was a way different time, but it was, to me, it was cooler, you know.
I mean, it's so crazy how much all that has changed. And even what you're talking about before with the mixtapes, like this idea that music was scarce, that we had to find stuff or you had to ask somebody or whatever, like that just is so different than the way life is today.
Yeah, like I heard like before, you know, DJ AM, you know, rest in peace, when people would be DJing at a club here in LA, they would go and Shazam his set list.
That's right.
And then DJ that at a club here, and I was like, that's so fucking scandalous, you know. That's worse than like bootlegging somebody's clothing line, you know, because like, you know, you're bootlegging a T-shirt or something and selling it, like you're a piece of shit, you know. But you're like a DJ in that night, and he's doing his thing off of his, you know, his vibe and everything, like in that night. It's like, that's some cold shit right there. You would just go and Shazam it and play that at your club, act like, you know, you came up with that shit. That's like craziest shit to me.
You know, there's always going to be people copying. And, you know, the same way I can go grab a camera and try to shoot what you shoot, but it's not going to be
then
you.
we put a Vaughn on the end of your name. You could be the Josh Vaughn.
So then you end up on the road, touring the world.
Yep.
And is so at that point, I know your dad was an artist, photographer, but you weren't thinking that was going to be your career path.
Yeah, I never thought of it, not even for like the first probably 5 years that I was even shooting, you know, because my dad always pushed me to arts, you know. He always just, like, I was raised by my mom, but my dad, I would get, you know, the summers and the holidays with him. And so he would always take me to like museums and art galleries and like cool shit that I wasn't really seeing when I was living with my mom, because it was more like a day-to-day, you know, life, you know. Excuse me. So my dad gave me a camera, and he was like, hey man, you live this cool lifestyle, like 1 minute you're on tour at Cypress Hill or House of Pain, and then you're in East LA building your lowrider with your car club. And I was like, I guess it's pretty cool. And then he goes, you should, you know, take pictures of it, document it. And I was like, yeah, okay, you know, because back then, to me, photographers were like professionals,
Yeah.
paparazzis, or tourists.
Right.
And I didn't really see myself being any of those three, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was hard to feel cool with a camera in your hand.
Yeah,
at
it
that
was real
point.
difficult to feel cool with the camera, even nowadays, you know?
Is that right?
For me, it's kind of embarrassing, like walking around with a camera, you know?
Hopefully you're used to it by now.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, no. And it's kind of weird, like, asking people to take their pictures, but, you know, you have to, like, push yourself, or else you won't get it, you know?
Sure.
And I always ask people, you know, for the most part, I'm always being respectful and ask people, like, hey, can I get a shot of you, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever. And, you know, some people just walk up in your grill and take flicks, and, like, to me, that's not cool.
Sure.
And especially, like, paparazzis, you know, like, that's the worst. Like, that's the lowest of the low, like, for a photographer. Like,
Yeah.
you're just, like, you know, one of those little fish that swim with the sharks or the whales. You're just like one of them, just like on their shit, you know.
Yeah.
And I just like I trip out on people that they would want to chase people around the city and, like, you know, fucking damn near crash into them just to get a shot of them driving their
It's a weird
SUV,
thing.
you know.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Like, as a person, I want to see good pictures of the celebrities, you know? Like, I don't want to see them looking all shot out with fucking their muffin top hanging over their fucking shorts or their pants, walking
Right.
through the, you know, Walmart parking lot, you know, shopping, you know?
Yeah.
I already know they go shopping. I know they take shits, and I know they have, you know, periods or whatever the fuck, you know? Like, I don't want to see every moment of somebody's life, you know? I want to see them like that fucking superstar, you know?
Yeah.
Like, back in the day when we were doing the House of Pain thing and House of Pain was blowing up, Danny was like at every club, you know? And I'd tell him, hey, Holmes, you know, like, go to just, don't go out too much, you know? Because, you know, you want to still be that, you know, House
That's
of
the
Pain
mystery.
guy, you know?
Yeah.
If you're out every night, then everybody's just like, oh, that's just homeboy from the, you know, like, no big deal, you know?
Right.
But it's kind of like when you're in that kind of like industry, like entertainment, you kind of have to keep some shit, like, you know, like a mystery, like you said, and not just be out there so much, so that it's more like, you know, special to the to your people, you know, when they do see you.
Yeah. So when did you realize that was going to be your living?
I would say around 1999 or 2000 is when I started feeling like confident that I was doing good shit, because I was taking a lot of pictures, and I thought they were good pictures, and I thought they were cool, and I thought my videos were cool, and I was like, yeah, I do some cool stuff. But then when there was other people reacting to my stuff, that's when I realized, like, fuck, I'm onto something, you know, cool.
So was there like a moment or somebody
Yeah,
spoke up?
there was a lady named Lisa. She worked she owned the photo lab on La Brea. It was called the Focus Photo Lab.
Yeah.
Next to American Rag. And she told me, you know, I always see you developing your pictures, but I never see you blow any of them up. And how come you don't blow any of them up? And I was like, for what? You know, what am I going to do with some 16 by 20 photos of my stuff? And she goes, well, can I try it and just put them for sale here? And I was like, yeah, you know, because there was big time guys like Helmut Newton and these other huge photographers that were in the, like, kind of like in the entrance of the photo lab they used kind of like as a gallery. And I sold 8 out of the 11 pictures, and she was like, I've never sold that many photos of anybody's stuff, and I've had big people here. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So she goes, I think you're onto something, you know, you should stick to this. And I was like, wow, man, the fucking lady at the photo lab is telling me that I do good shit, and she sees the best of the best. Like, maybe I should, you know, do it a little bit more. And because there was a lot of times where I missed out on photo opportunities because I didn't really like give a shit, you know. I had a camera. I would take a picture if I had time or if I wanted to real bad, but like I missed shots of, you know, like Tupac and Eazy-E, you know, hanging out with them. Like I always thought, oh, I'll just get a picture of them later, you know, another time. Like a magazine will hire me to do a photo shoot of them or some shit like that. Like I didn't really want to bug people, you know, but
Yeah, when I look back at Jamaica House, I wish we would have documented more.
Sure.
yeah.
You know, it's like,
blew
that's
it.
the one thing you think your life's never going to end, and neither's theirs, and I'm going to see that dude again.
Of course.
But like Biggie and all that shit, I got like the side of Biggie playing Jamaica House at Roxbury.
Where's that at?
He played Roxbury.
No, where's that picture?
I got it somewhere at the house.
Man, you need to break that out.
I do.
Yeah, I think we just, you know, being young, you don't think about that.
Like
you
I
know.
have I was at Eminem's first show at
Nice.
Unity with
Yeah.
Big B, rest in peace. When he had brown hair, he was a youngster and he was
Yep.
just killing it. Like nobody knew who the fuck they were. They was still kind of the thing, like another white boy trying to rap, you know. And
Yeah.
and he gets on the stage with the "Hi, my name is," and everybody at first they're looking at him like this white boy, and then they're like, "Oh fuck," they're bobbing their head, and then he just started rapping. By the second time he did the chorus, everybody was singing in the club.
Sure.
And like to be there and that shit and just see that, like I don't even know if I would have taken a picture
Right.
anyways, because I would have been so fucked up by that happening, you know. Like it's very rare that you see somebody come into a club and do their song for the first time,
Yeah, of course.
and by the second chorus the whole club is singing that shit
Going
because they're
crazy.
just losing it.
Yeah.
That, you know, the shit is so dope.
Yeah.
But I was there that night.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, too, you say, because there's a difference between being there as a fan or being there as a photographer,
Yeah,
right? And you have to kind of, like, separate yourself
yeah,
in order to, like, get the photo or think about documenting it.
yeah. You always have to separate yourself because there's always these times where people are like, you know, like I see it all the time in the press, like, yeah, fucking this shit was going on and this guy the car blew up in like Afghanistan, and there was this two guys pulling this little girl with no legs, and there's a photographer standing there taking pictures. But then you see that picture in like Time Magazine or Newsweek or something, you're like, fuck, that is an amazing picture. Like that is so crazy. How did that guy get that? It's like, well, he had to take himself out of being just a human being, like carrying human being and running up and helping this little girl that got her legs blown off, to being the guy that stood there and took a photo so that everybody could see it, you know. And I've had a few moments like that. You know, some of them I did the photographer thing and I took the photos,
Right.
and some of them I did the people thing and I put the camera down and went and helped out, you know.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I mean, every time I probably would have got really sick shots, you know, great shots. But then I was thinking, like, I didn't think with my camera. I was thinking with my head and be like, fuck, man, there's somebody that needs help. You know, they're going to die, or, you know, they're getting fucked up or something like that. So I had to help out.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You definitely have to separate yourself.
So do you remember, you talk about like asking permission to take people's pictures. Do you remember when people started asking you?
To take my picture?
No, for you to take their pictures. Because I'm sure now, you know, I'm sure people call you.
Yeah, I get both. It's weird. Like people want to take photos with me. Like just standing, you know. Like yesterday, I was with Eddie's nephew Trayvon, and we were on Fairfax, and somebody came up and goes, "Hey man, you're a legend. Can I take a photo with you?" And like at first that throws you off, you know. You're like, "Whoa," you know. But then you're like, "Yeah, sure, whatever," you know.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people be a dick to people, and that shit ain't cool.
Only time that happens to me is in China.
Yeah.
People come up. My wife's blonde, and they want to take pictures with her.
Yeah.
I've never seen a blonde
That's
person
funny.
before. Yeah.
But I'm not sure, like the first, because me and Cartoon, because of Cypress Hill, and we were so, you know, deep into that world, that we got to take got the opportunity to do their album packaging and stuff first.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of came out, Cartoon had already done a bunch of album cover logos and stuff like that before, but for both of us and for me, I kind of did it for my own crew first, and then I went out into the world and I had that to show,
Yeah. How'd you guys meet?
Me and Cartoon?
Yeah.
At a Penthouse Players record release party at the Hollywood Athletic Club.
Yeah. I was there.
You were?
Yeah.
My friend Donnie Charles, he, rest in peace.
Rest
he
in
was
peace. Hood Rat.
He was the owner of Hood Rat Records
Uh-huh.
and Hood Rat Car Club, and he was managing WC in the Mad Circle back then.
Yeah.
And
I managed WC not after him, after Dane Webb. Like 2 managers later,
Yeah.
I managed WC.
And
Small
then,
world.
yeah. And then I used to kick it with Donnie a lot, and he goes, "Hey man, come to this record release party with me." And Cartoon had did the logo and like the artwork around the photo,
Mm-hmm.
because he was working with Eazy-E back then. And when we walked in, like back at that time, it was mostly, like hip hop was mostly like a black,
Mm-hmm.
culture. It was like you go to a club with hip hop and you would be, one of the few Mexicans or one of the few white guys there.
Sure.
So when we went to that party, we scanned through the crowd, like right when you walk in, and I remember seeing like a couple of like white dudes to the side that were probably working like, as management or record
Mm-hmm.
label people. And then when we looked like to the left, there was Cartoon. And he goes, "Hey, there's my other Mexican homie, Cartoon. Come over here, I
Yeah.
want to introduce you guys so you can meet each other." He's into low riding too.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." So I went and hung out with Cartoon, and we just hung out the whole night. And then from there we went to the X-Clan show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to that right after?
No.
It was at Gazzari's.
Yeah.
So
No, I didn't go.
we just drove down to that show,
Yeah.
and I remember Donnie was going to get into it with somebody, and then me and Cartoon were with him, so we were like backing him up, and ever since like that point, like we all three were like kind of tighter,
Mhm.
and like kind of had more respect and love for each other, because
Sure.
it was like a group of people, and it was Donnie by himself that knew them.
Mm-hmm.
But because me and Cartoon were like, "Fuck it, we're here with you, homies.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, we'll just do that shit." And he was like, "Man, like he invited us to his house later on in our friendship. He'd be like, 'Man, you two are some of the only 2 people that know where my house is. I meet all my homies from my hood at the corner, the gas station.'"
Yeah.
I was like, "Damn, that's cool." He goes, "Nobody knows where my family lives."
Mhm.
And I was like, "All right, he really trusted us,
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And then he got cancer and passed away, and me and Cartoon just kept hanging out real tight. And 25 years later, we're doing our documentary right now and all that kind of shit.
Documentary about you guys?
Yeah, it was just on him, but then the people that are funding it were like, we should do it on both of you guys, because both of you guys are like the story.
Yeah.
So
That's
I was
cool.
like, okay, cool. Yeah,
Nice.
it's always it'll be my first directing thing in like that in the movie world.
Mhm.
'Cause I've done the videos,
Sure.
and done other jobs in movies, but never directed, because the Hollywood thing is always like, well, we don't give first time directors that much money,
Right.
to do a movie,
Of course.
so we're gonna have this director do it, and you can consult them. But it's
Mhm.
like, it's pretty much you doing everything, and he's
Right.
just saying, okay, action.
he
gets
cashes
the
the
credit,
checks.
gets a check.
That's right.
And so, this is probably the best way for me to get into the directing game in the movie world.
Yeah. That's funny. I rented a lowrider off Cartoon 94
Yeah.
for a cover for album cover shoot
What was it?
for Bosco.
Oh shit.
It was a 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it somewhere.
Was it a blue with the white top?
No, it was like, oh shit, I want to say it was like red or brown.
Okay.
I don't know if it was his car or he just.
No.
He hooked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably somebody from our car club.
Yeah.
And what club is that?
Back then, it was Lifestyle.
Lifestyle. You could see it in the.
In the back window.
The little plaque.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Now we have Pegasus Car Club.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for a couple of years.
So what do you think you learned from? I mean, you're talking about like life on the road and all that. What do you think you learned from being a tour manager that you then took into your photography?
Well, I learned, pretty much my whole life from doing that because, I learned, setting up tour arrangements, like traveling, advancing the shows, dealing with the money from the shows, doing the counting in the merchandise, counting out the merchandise, doing the, doing the accounting with the merchandising people, dealing with the bus people.
You learned a little patience
the
too,
bus
right?
drivers. This is all the shit that you learn outside of the band and the crew,
Yeah.
So like that's just like you learn how to be like a mom, a dad, a therapist, a brother, fucking, everything.
Yeah.
Like there's so much that I learned from doing that job that I applied to my life. Like as far as photography, I used to set up the press. So the record label would fax me a press schedule and say, hey, these 4 people want to come to the show and interview the band. You have to set it up with the times and everything. So I would tell the band, hey, the label sent me these many interviews. When do you guys want to do them? Before sound check, after sound check, before dinner, after dinner, before the show or after the show. They go, we'll set up in between sound check and dinner. So I go, okay, we got an hour. Set up each interview, 15 minutes each, and I'd bring them in and, hey, there's a band, blah, blah, blah. They do their interview. Okay, you guys got to go. Next group come in. But I always noticed a photographer would get fucked on those because it was like the interviewer would want to talk, and get the story. Right. And he would just be so like intrigued and talking to the band. He's like, so what about this and what about that? And meanwhile, the clock's just ticking. And I'm going like, fuck, this poor photographer, he's got like 2 minutes to do a photo shoot. Right. And and they would do it, and sometimes the pictures would come out whack, and sometimes they'd come out like, damn, he did that in 5 minutes. That's pretty good. So I learned that from watching those guys, like sometimes with these famous people, you only get 5 minutes. And sometimes that's all you need. Like I did a shoot with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino for the Righteous Kill movie packaging. And the first day, first of all, they didn't want us to do the job because they were like, when they came to us for a cartoon to do a skateboard collabo with Rob Dyrdek because he was in the movie. And I told Cartoon and like our manager that we were working with at that time, I was like, hey, we should try and do the movie poster. They're like, nah, they'd never give it to us, like they just called us to do the skateboard. I was like, man, we need to do that movie poster, like we need to at least try, And our manager guy was like, nah, like you're tripping, like we need to just do the skateboard and get the check and keep it moving. Yeah. So I told Toon, I was like, Toon, we've fucking been watching Al Pacino and Robert De Niro movies for our whole life, seen some of them like 100 times each. Like, just tell them at the meeting, just see what they say. And they go, oh, well, that sounds great, but we already shot the movie poster and, but if you guys want to do like a comp movie poster, maybe we'll give you the photos and you could draw it and, do the movie poster like that. Because at that time, Shepard Fairey had just done one for the Johnny Cash movie. and he had done like an alternative marketing thing, which was the art movie poster. So they said, if you want to try and do something like that, that's cool. So we got the pictures and they were horrible. Like all the photos of them were just garbage. So Cartoon was like, can I tell you something? And the movie company's like, yeah, what's that? And they're like, these pictures are horrible. Like, please let me just get my homie in there to do some pictures and we'll kill it, because he knows what I need. And they're like, oh yeah, it's funny you say that. A couple other people that saw the photos, they said the same thing. But there's no way to get them together. So there's like a Monday and a Wednesday that we're doing this reshoot. You could try it then. So it was Monday. I went there. I was sitting there for 8 hours, and they had me come in. They're like, hey, where's that photographer guy? He needs to shoot a picture for the movie poster. And the guys bring me over and they go, okay, here's Robert De Niro. And I was like, hey, how you doing, sir? Like fucking one of my big time like idols. I was like nervous as fuck. And I hey, how you doing, sir? Let me get this shot. He goes, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. And then the actress was there and he goes, here, come here, get in this shot with me, But in my head, I was like, fuck, that's not the movie poster,
right.
I had to shoot Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and like Photoshop them together.
He's fucking up the program.
So he grabs the girl and brings her in there, and I shoot like 3 or 4 frames. They're like, okay, great, thank you. Now back to the shot. And so the director comes up and goes, hey, so did you get the shot? That was great, right? You shot, Robert De Niro for this? And I was like, yeah, but it's not what I need. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, you know what movie posters look like, right?
Yeah.
I go, it's Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. And I go, and he brings a girl, and I'm like, what am I going to, what do I do? He goes, well, can't you Photoshop her out? I go, like, come on, man, like, I'm not a fucking magician, And the light was horrible. Like, the lighting was set for them sitting down on the couch. So they had the lighting, like, at a low angle.
Yeah.
And if you stand up and you shoot a light like this up into somebody's face, it's the worst lighting ever. Yeah. It's like the most horrible lighting is shooting up into their face. Like, their face just looks disgusting. So those photos were like garbage, And I was like, fuck, man, what am I going to do? So I was there for 8 hours, and I was just waiting because I had these 2 walls. There was a black wall and a gray wall where they met, kind of like right here. And I was like, if I get them outside this door, there was like overcast day, it was perfect light, no shadows. I'm going to shoot them on the black wall, I'm going to shoot them on the light gray wall, and it's a wrap. I got it. The fucking sun goes down. And I was like, man, I can't even do this shoot. I was telling my guy, that I work with, Marco, I was like, man, they fucked it up. They could have just gave me 5 minutes and just let me shoot this guy. Like, it would have been like so quick. Yeah. He goes, well, what can you do? Let's get out of here. It's it's done. So I was like, fuck, man. I get in the car, and there's an email to like 60 people in the movie company and everybody. I don't know who the fuck was on there. And it said, Estevan Oriol did not get the shot today, so we're just gonna go with Cartoon drawing the from the photos that we got. And that was like the most like my name was shining so big and so bright right there. I was just like, and it just said like, Estevan Oriol fucked up. Like, that's how I saw it in my head. And it was just like fucking like went out on like the Batman light across the sky, with all those names of like big time people and heads of these fucking people. I was like, I called my wife and I go, hey man, this motherfuckers had me sitting there like Willy Lump, for 8 hours. Like, don't they know who I think I am, They fucking shit on me over there. And she goes, well, what are you going to do? I go, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm fucked. It's over. She goes, wait a minute. Like, isn't this the guy that, when you shot Dennis Hopper, you said if I shot Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, I could quit after that? I go, yeah, that's right. I said that. And she goes, so you were standing next to your like dream photo shoot for 8 hours and you didn't do shit. You didn't get the shot. And I go, no. And she goes, man, you need to call them motherfuckers up and tell them you'll be there tomorrow and you're going to get that shot. I go, I can't do that, you know, like, you can't just fucking call up the movie company and Robert De Niro and say, hey, I didn't get the shot, you know, come tomorrow.
Yeah.
And she goes, man, I thought I was with, you know, you're sounding real pussy. You're sounding real pussy right now, you know? I was like,
I love your wife, man.
yeah, I wanted to
incredible.
just punch her through the phone, you know? I was like, fuck, man. You know, the wives always have a way to, like, just stick the knife in real slow and just, like, take it up, you know? And I was like, fuck, man. I go, fuck it, you know? I got mad and I hung up, and then I called my boy Marco, and I go, hey, Marco, tell them that we're going to come tomorrow and take the shot. He goes, oh, no, you didn't get it. It's like, it's over. Yeah. Didn't you see the email? I go, yeah, I saw the fucking email. Call them up and say, hey, Estevan didn't get the shot, but we're going to come tomorrow and he's going to get it.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I go, don't ask him.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, can Estevan come and get the shot, they're going to be like, nope.
Right.
Tell them, hey, Estevan wasn't able to get it, but tomorrow we're going to get it. And they go, he calls him up and he goes, yeah, Estevan didn't get the shot, but tomorrow he's going to come in and, you know, do it again. And they go, oh, that's great. Well, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro will both be there on that day. And I was like, well, fuck, why did I have to do the Monday this guy and the Wednesday this guy if they're both going to be there on Tuesday, you know?
Incredible.
So I go there on Tuesday. I'm there 6 hours, and I'm like, you know, sitting out there. It's cold in Culver City.
Yeah.
And fucking the lady goes, hey, where's the photographer guy? And I go, I'm right here. They go, okay, get ready. They're going to come through this door in about a couple minutes. I go, okay, I'm ready. And right when I said, I'm ready, the door busts open. And there's those two guys in the front and like 30 people behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, managers, hairstylists, attorneys, lawyers, accountants, everything. And I was like, oh, fuck, you know, they're both here. So I went up to him again and I told, you know, Robert, you know, hey, I know you're, you know, one of your old daughters, your stepdaughters, you know, Dre and Mare. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that was like the icebreaker with him. And then I told Al Pacino, hey, I was going to shoot you before at Harry Dean Stanton's birthday party, you know, but, you know, they said you had left by the time, you know, they had got it arranged. He goes, oh, yeah, you were there that night? And that was the icebreaker with him. Yeah. Then I shot like one roll of it. That film had 10 frames on it, and then another roll of like 5, and they go, okay, thank you, and they start clapping, and they took them away, and I was like, but you know, like I still have half a roll, you know. And I drove that film to the lab, and I go, I gotta watch you guys develop this. Like, I gotta make sure that I got the shot, because I put so much on it. Like this, you know, I was ready to kamikaze, you know, my lowrider off a fucking cliff if I didn't. I get in there, and I just see the shit coming up, and I was like, I got it. You know, I called my boys. I was like, hey, man, I got the shot. They're like, you did? What, you know, like what? I go, I got a shot. And we did the mock-up poster, and they used that for the whole campaign.
Amazing.
They use it for all the buses, the bus benches, the billboards, and the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut the check.
They cut the check.
Man, your wife is my hero.
Yeah. She's dope.
Because I think it's what you said at the beginning. It's like not knowing that you can't do something.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what it takes. We talk about that all the time. Eddie's great at that.
Yeah.
He doesn't know all the shit he's not supposed to be doing.
That's right.
So he gets it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
you know, you need somebody on your team that'll push you and not sugarcoat shit. You don't need a bunch of yes men around.
Yeah.
You know, she could have easily been one of those, you know, soft, caring, loving wives.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
it's
like,
too bad, baby.
oh, come on, baby, I gotta
you know,
make you some
I'll
soup.
rub your feet
Yeah,
and
that's right.
fucking, you know.
Not Angel.
She's like, motherfucker, don't come home unless you get that picture. I'll fucking no. No, she was cool though, you know. Like that's what it took for me to think of a way to get that, you know. Be like, okay, I can't just, you know, be like, you know, hey motherfuckers, or you know, you gotta like be real strategic and be like, let's do it this way and not this way, because this way they might. You know, they might say no if we do it. You
but
know.
I also love what you said about not asking.
That's what I mean.
Because people want, we talk about this all the time. People want leadership.
Yeah.
Whether they think they do or not, whether they realize it, they want somebody to say, hey, this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I got this.
And they don't have to worry
You'll be
about
happy
it.
with the end result. Let me do my thing. But if you ask them, now they're in charge.
Yeah.
And they're going to make the wrong decision.
I learned a lot about that on the road with Estevan, because he'd be like, hey, go over here and get the catering guy to do this. And I'd come back and be like, they don't have it. He's like, I didn't tell you to go over and ask them if they got it. Yeah. Told them you to go over and get it. Like Heineken's. We'd show up to a show, there'd be no Heineken's. He'd be like, fuck it, they got to go to the store. If the bar don't sell it, go to the store.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, how am I going to? He goes, I don't know, man, just go do it. And then finally I was like, hey, I need you to go to the store and get some Heineken's, or we're not fucking doing a show. Yeah. Straight up. Hey, I'm not having Eric show up and there's no Heineken's in the dressing room. Yeah. You don't have it, go to the store and get it. And they'd be like, oh shit, great idea. And then they'd run and get it.
We're not sponsored by Heineken. You got to cut all that out.
Really?
I'm just playing. No, that's right, though.
But that's how, you have to kind of do that shit when you're on the road. And you don't have to be a dick about it. Yeah. You could be demanding, but still be cool and respectful to the people. Yeah. Because some people are like straight up dicks, and the guy's like, fuck you. Yeah. And you never can go back and play at their venue again. Yeah. They'll be like, hey.
It's the right balance, right? Because you got to make people want to help you. If you're too soft, they don't care. And if you come at them too hard, they don't.
Yeah.
They work against you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've seen it all.
Yeah, I'm sure. What do you? So you're known for celebrities and then street culture. Mm-hmm. What's the similarity with those two?
They're all just people, and you have to get them to feel comfortable and get them to do what you want them to do to get the good shot. Yeah. And everybody, you just pretty much talk to them the same way. You don't. Like, I'm not those kind of guys that are like, yeah, turn your head around, do this, do that, all kinds of weird shit, and just have people doing like head spins and putting their hands on their face or anything like that. I pretty much just shoot them how they are. Yeah. And like, I'll give somebody a little direction if I see like the sun's not hitting them right, or they're like putting their chin down and you can see like this fat or something here. I'll tell them, hey, stick your chin out a little bit towards me, and give them that definition there. Mm-hmm. So I always try and make people look their best, and without making them look goofy and acting like idiots. I see it on so many photo shoots. I'm like, man, that's like embarrassing for us photographers. You know, they got them doing all this weird shit, but I guess that's what works for them. Yeah. That's why they got that job, and I did it.
And then I know you do a lot of work with brands. Mm-hmm. I think we had opportunity on the Scion stuff to work together. I know we worked with Cartoon, but I think I remember you shot this this day right after Scion came out. We
with
did
all of them.
Yeah, we did a party for like the first people to buy Scions.
Yeah.
And then
was it like 250 or something?
250 cars. People brought their own thing, and we had DJs and food and drinks.
Where
and
was
whatever. It was at the
like in Orange County.
Yeah, at El Toro, at the old Army military base.
Nice.
It's huge, field.
Airfield.
And then we had to step up on the scaffolding, trying to get the shot. The clients, had to rein the clients in a little bit.
Yeah. That shit was crazy.
Yeah. But it came out great. Everybody got a poster. If you attended the event, you got a poster in the mail. And then I tried to bring you in on Camarena Tequila. I don't know if you remember that. They end up they pulled the plug on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they wanted to shoot some video content. And then I called Marco and had you come down, and I remember that meeting because you walked in and like just kind of off the top just started throwing ideas out there, and the clients are like, "Oh, this is amazing." Yeah. Like, "Oh, we're going down to Mexico and we'll shoot this town and we'll."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. Yeah.
Now they do it.
Yeah.
Now I seen tequila commercial.
They like shelved the whole thing, and then it came back later.
They're doing all that shit that I was saying, like go down to Mexico, film them with the plants, the agave plants, and everything that I said is like 10 years later. There's guys doing full blown commercials like that. I'm like, Well, if we would have done it back then, it would have worked.
Yeah.
You know, we see now.
Yeah. So when you work with brands, what is it that they need to understand about how to be part of a culture?
It's perfect. Every band or every brand, and band, when they hire you as a creative, they are hiring for what you do, for what you like, for what you've put out into the world for people to see. Because I have 500,000 photos, but probably only 20,000 of them have been seen in the world. And those 20,000 are photos that I've chose to blow up and put out there. So what brands need to know when they hire you as a creative is they're hiring you for what you do, and that's what they liked. That's what they got you for. And like some brands try to do is they hire you and then try to tell you how to do everything. And then it's like you're an employee, you know? You're not like a creative that they hired to come in and create something. So they're like, I did this one photo shoot for this really cool street brand. They're friends of mine, and I had the creative director or whatever of their company. She was new, and the owner told me what kind of shots he needed, and I was like, okay, cool. He goes, just get me the shots that you want to do that you think we need, and then we'll shoot other shit outside of that. So I was like, okay, cool. So like I'd be over there shooting this direction, and the girl would be here, and like I'm there shooting with my camera shooting him, and she'd be like here shooting him with her phone. And then I would look over at her and I'm like, okay, cool. She's just getting like behind the scenes photos for. And then I would finish shooting there, and like as I'm at the last like one or two shots that I'm gonna do from there to there, she'd go, hey, what do you think about getting a shot here? And I was like, yeah, sure. Let me just finish doing these last 2 frames of the film, and then I'll move over there with the new roll. And she did that to me like 10 times that day. And I told my boy who was the owner of the club, I go, homie, please, like, can you tell her to stop this? Like, I can't even, like, I was going to shoot from there anyways, but I'm just doing this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that, and I'm not even going to do that, you know? But this girl, like, trying to tell me all this shit is crazy, homie. Like, it's not cool. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna ring her in, you know? And he told her, like, hey, let my man do his thing, you know? He knows what he's doing. That's why we hired him. She's okay, I get it. And she's just, you know, trying to micromanage like every shot I was taking. That's killing me. But, you know, at the same time, you gotta be professional and, you know, hold your tongue, and that's why I just went to my friend. Thank God he was the owner.
That's right.
You know, because what would I have done if he wasn't the owner and she was the one that hired me? And she had me running around like a little idiot the whole day, you know. Shooting from over here, shoot from over there, shoot from, you know. I was like, fuck, man.
Well, they don't need you for that.
Right. Just go get Willie Lump with a camera and have him turn it on. Like, don't say you want an Estevan Oriol looking campaign and shit, and then be telling me, you know, roll around and do all this on the ground. And it was like, you know, that's not, then it's not my shit, you know.
So with that, and I know you have so many, you know, you have so many things going on between clothing, work with brands, as you said, you know, movies. I'm sure there's a whole lot more. How do you decide what to take on and what to say no to?
Well, my bank account is one thing that decides for me. Because there's sometimes I'll do jobs that I would never do because
it's called work, right?
But I think like I could be, you know, stacking the shelves at, you know, Home Depot with a, you know, a pallet full of paint cans, you know. You know, shout out to those guys because that shit is hard work. But I don't want to do it, you know. So if it's me doing something that I love to do, which is taking pictures and, you know, being creative, but I have to deal with people like that other lady all day. in working with a corny brand that I don't like, you know, I'm halfway, you know, the glass is half full. You know, I'm doing what I want to do, but I'm not doing what I don't want to do.
Right.
You know, another kind of job. So I'm not, you know, pounding nails like I was before, or, you know, doing tile work. You know, I love doing that shit too, but I just get better money doing what I do when I do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I would say, what was the question again?
Oh, just, you know, how do you decide what
to
get involved?
So my bank account is one thing, and then the way that people talk about the project is the other thing.
Okay.
Like if somebody's telling me a bunch of weird shit, I'll be like, what date did you say that was? And they'll be like, yeah, it's October 15th. I'll be like, hold on, let me just, because if I ain't got shit to do, I'll do it. But if I'm out of town or something, I'll be like going through man, I gotta be in Japan that day.
That's right.
Shit. Well, what day are you gonna be there? Well, from the 10th to the 20th. And they'll be like, oh, it would have worked if it was like 15, 16, or 17. I'd be like, man, I'm sorry, man. Shit. Well, you know, call me on the next one, you know?
Yeah.
And they never call again, but, you know, there's, like, you kind of want to let people down easy and be like, you know, you're corny, your brand is whack, you know? You don't want to say all that, so you just tell them, you know, nice way, like, you know, I got something. Or what I'll do is I know people that want to do jobs, they don't care. I'll say, I can't do this job, but my friend can.
For you.
Yeah.
But Trayvon will do it.
Yeah. Trayvon will do it, or, you know, whoever. You know, I'll get, I've gotten a lot of people work like that. Sometimes the people are like, oh, no, it's okay, you know, we'll find our own guy. But sometimes people will be like, yeah, that'd be great, you know, can you send us his website, or nowadays, you know, his Instagram.
Sure.
And I've gotten a lot of people work like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it feels good, like, you know, maybe I didn't do the job, or, you know, I was able to pass on it because I was doing good that month.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I helped the homie, you know, get a job and put food on his plate, you know, for his family and shit.
Yeah. So you mentioned Instagram, and you know, that's obviously shaped, photography has shaped our world that we live in. And I think we live in this time of, you know, everything is immediate, whether it's news or definitely photos, and, you know, we talk about paparazzi, all of that, right?
Yeah.
But you're kind of you're sort of in the opposite. You're in the business of legacy, because you're immortalizing people, and you know, you're getting, somebody buys a photo and hangs it up on the wall.
Yeah.
That's going to outlive you. How do you think about the legacy that you're creating?
I think it's turning out pretty good, you know. I got a lot of good shit, and I'm the way I'm working it is kind of like I'm just trying to get out there and, like, as much books and stuff like that as I can.
Yeah.
And because that's the way, you know, if you want your legacy to be known, you gotta have it documented. Otherwise, like, you know, you don't want to be like that one lady where they found her, you know, photo archives 50 years later. She was a nanny.
Oh, I don't know.
Going around taking pictures.
Wow.
And they found her, like, storage or something.
Yeah.
And she had been a nanny and took photos for all these years, like street photos. She would walk the kids and do photos.
Oh, that's cool.
And it became a huge thing, you know, like, oh, wow, we found this nanny's thing, like it was discovered, you know.
Nice.
And, you know, what's the chances of that, you know? So you got to do it while you're alive, you know. Do, like, to me, like, I used to be like, when he met me, I was like the simple guy. I lived in an apartment. It was $400 a month in Hollywood. I did my daytime job, which is construction, you know, breaking my back, you know, painting, varnishing wood, metal, you know, welding, all that kind of shit. And I'd be, like, exhausted, and then I'd go to the club and work nighttime, you know, and then get up the next day and do all that shit all over again. And I was cool with just making a couple of G's a month to pay my bills. and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, but then
Simpler times.
yeah, it was simpler times, and it was cool, but that whole building was full of those people, you know, and so were all the buildings on the block.
Yeah.
And all the buildings on every other block, you know, that they just are cool with going to work, making enough to get their bills paid and their family fed. And then there's the other kind of like go-getter type people that, you know, LA attracts, that want to do more in the world, you know, and touring fucked me up in that way, you know, but it helped me also, you know, you know, me and Eddie lived 5-star lifestyles, but we weren't the ones that were making the money, you know.
Right.
We were going on the big jet, you know, planes, flying first class and shit, business class. We were staying in 5-star hotels. We were eating the best food all over the world. And when you come home from that, and now you're not on tour for a month, but you have your paycheck, you're like, fuck, man. I want to go eat in those good places. I want to live a little bit, you know?
That's right.
And we come home and spend our paycheck on that, you know, like, you know, flossing a little bit, you know, because we had been exposed to it. So once I traveled to 44 countries with the bands. And once I had started traveling, I was hooked on it, you know? I wanted to see, like, more parts of the world.
Yeah.
And most of the fans at the shows would say, like, hey, you know, you guys are from the hood in LA, you should come and see our hood. And I was like, well, I can't really bring the band into, you know, every hood of every city, you know. It's like, you know, I have to protect them and keep them safe, you know, so we have to go to the show tomorrow. But I would say me and Eddie will go. And me and Eddie or whoever I was with at those times would go into these, you know, we'd go into the favelas in Brazil, into different hoods and different, you know, cities, and kick it with the people and smoke weed and, you know, go drink and eat with them and
see what it was really like.
That was some of the best times,
amazing.
you know, of my life. And I've, you know, I would take photos when we'd go. But I wasn't going there to take photos. I was going to, you know, hang out and kick it with the people, and then I would just bust out my camera and get a few shots here and there. But I went on to keep doing that and traveling, and I've been to like 56 countries now, you know, on my own as a photographer.
Amazing.
So, you know, my goal is like to do half the countries in the world. It's like 190. So, you know, if I could get half of that's wifey. If I could get half of them under my belt before I pass, you know, I think that would be pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Because I know some guys they got, you know, all the money in the world, they're trying to do it, and I have a little bit more than them. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, because, you know, you got the money. I was going because of work. You know, somebody else was paying my ticket.
I love that. Like, it makes you think of my man used to say, like, we make enough to live beyond our means.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I you know, it's a lot though, you know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hustling. It's a lot of, like, people think that, you know, because you're in a magazine or something, like, they think because I've done photos of like Eminem, say, in a magazine, that I'm rich.
Yeah, sure.
That I can call him and tell him, hey, my friend Joey in Texas, he said you're playing a show tonight. Can you give him and his family 4 tickets and give him VIP? Like, I'm like, you know, it don't work like that. The magazine paid me a couple $100. That shit was gone in 2 days.
For sure.
And I met Eminem for 15 minutes and did a photo shoot of him in 5. So, you know, what do you know, like, how does all this, how do they think of that? Like, they sat at home and thought of that. And be like, hey, fuck, Eminem's coming to our town this week. We needed to go to that concert. Estevan shot him. I'm going to call him and ask him for tickets for me and my family to go to this show. But, like, they went through all that.
Okay, I got to ask you some little lightning round before we get out of here. So you mentioned travel. I'm a huge fan of travel. I think it changes your perspective on life. What's your favorite city to travel to?
My favorite cities are Tokyo, Brazil, or Rio in Brazil, Sao Paulo in Brazil, Paris, London, Berlin, Sydney. You know, more like the bigger cities in some of these countries that have similarities to like LA. You know, of course, New York. Miami has a cool, you know, different vibe, you know, for America, and I love Bangkok, Thailand. I got some, you know, cool people out there I kick it with, and I'd have to say, I mean, I've been to, you know, all the countries that you know people have heard of or whatever. All the continents. Some places were cool, you know, you just stop in and do the show and you eat and leave.
You're like, I don't need to see that one again.
Yeah. Or it's like, you know, you didn't get to, you know. You drove into that city just in time to do sound check. You eat dinner, do the show, break down the show, and you drive to the next city and you're driving. You know, a lot of places that we saw were freeways on the bus. And then at nighttime, you know, daytime and nighttime.
Last year I was working with Lincoln Park, and we got this TV network wanted to do a travel show with them. It was like, well, we'll follow them on tour and we can see all this. And I was like, so you don't know how touring works, because they're not hanging out in the city for 2 days. They're not on vacation for 2 days and then go play a show.
They see the venue in the hotel.
That's right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like the thing with like me and like Eddie or me and Muggs or me and Alchemist is, as soon as we touch down a city, we like tell the baggage guy like, hey, can you take the bags to our room, and we'd smash out. Let's go eat somewhere. And this before the times when there was phones, like you couldn't Yelp nothing, so we would look in like phone books, record stores.
That's right.
For the record stores.
Yeah, like we'd go record shopping.
And then probably half the time it's like you went to the wrong spot.
Yeah, and then sometimes you come in these crazy fucking spots of this old man in this little city that had boxes of records. Like and we'd be there hours digging through boxes of records with fucking spider webs and dust on them. And he's like, yeah, I got a couple more in this room back here if you want to take a look. Because, you know, like Leor, Muggs, Alchemist, they would just pick boxes of shit. Just be like, here, this box. And the guy would be like, oh shit, this guy's getting 1 box, 2 box, 3 boxes. Yeah, I got another room over here. And before you know, we're like in his attic and shit.
Remember that time we were in Canada and the bus almost left us with House of Pain?
Which one?
Forgot where we were, but we kind of strolled off after the show, and Eric went back to get ready, and our stuff was already pre-packed because we wanted to go do something in Canada. And we're walking in 30-degree weather, and the bus drives right past us. We're heading back to the hotel. And phones aren't working or something, and they were like literally about to leave us. And then 3 blocks later, they stopped, and they're like, we're here. Eric's like, come now or we're leaving you. Remember that?
Of course. Yeah, I remember. There's a few times like that. And like, I mean, imagine not having a phone. Like, with you at all times.
It's unbelievable, right?
Like, you know, we'd see the bus.
It's unbelievable that we survived.
Well, the problem is our phone wouldn't work there. We had it. It just, we were in Canada, so it wasn't now. It was like we didn't even have phones. We had the little flip.
Oh, yeah, two-way.
Beam me up, Scotty.
SkyTel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your favorite DJ?
Like performance-wise, or?
Yeah.
Or I like the Beat Junkies, you know, like they came the other day to the Beyond the Streets event, and it just like seeing all of them together just like made me feel like the 90s again, and made me feel like you know, this is why they are who they are. And then I thought about like, how the fuck aren't they bigger? You know, like why aren't they like the Steve Aokis and the, you know, Calvin Harris and the you know, those, why aren't they at that level yet? Not yet. I mean, why aren't they at that level? Because there's definitely people that love that music, you know, and I don't know why that genre of music that those guys play in has such big crowds that only the DJ needs to come. and they're the headliners.
Yeah.
Whereas
With the flash drive.
Yeah, like you watch the Beat Junkies and you're just like, fuck,
It's
man,
incredible.
like this is so sick, you know, and you see them going back and forth and 2 guys to 3 guys, and then like this guy comes over here and he's doing, and you're just like, this is it. This is DJing right here.
Yeah.
Like those other guys do DJing too because they get the
Sure.
crowd hyped
Yeah,
up
yeah.
too, but it's a different
It's a
crowd.
different
and
thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
just,
a different technique,
Yeah.
I just
different science.
wish that genre had a place like those
Yeah,
other guys, you know, where
absolutely.
they could play in stadiums and, you know, get that vibe. Because I've been to EDC and film there, and that shit is incredible
It's crazy,
to see.
right?
Like you see those, like when they put a song on, a certain song, and you hear like a girl singing like a cappella, and everybody knows that song, and then the beat kicks in and the whole fucking place, like it was at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
And it was jam packed, and I was like, man, can you imagine if like the Beat Junkies that did like a hip hop thing like this big, how sick that would be.
Yeah.
But you know, the city and everybody, they get scared.
Of course.
Hip hop, violence, you know.
Of course.
The other one is like ecstasy and love, and
That's right.
everybody's, you know, vibing out like that.
Yeah.
So like they don't care. Is that the Snapchat or what?
Yeah, one of those.
Oh, great. Thank you.
What's the last great book you read?
The last great book I read? I would say, I haven't picked up a book in a long time. I pretty much read everything on my phone, like news.
Sure.
Or articles that I like.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
most of the books that I get are photo books. And like I have a huge collection of photography books.
Is there a photographer that's influenced your style the most?
Not really.
Okay.
But there's a lot of photographers that I respect and think that they're the shit, you know.
Sure.
But my whole thing is the era I come from is like no biting.
Yeah.
Like you don't copy people's
Yeah.
shit. You're original. And if you did some shit like somebody else was, you're like in hip hop, where's a sucker, you know? Like, and I ain't trying to be
Sucker free.
Sucker.
Yeah, sucker free.
Sucker free.
That's right.
But
What movie have you seen the most in your life?
I would say I'd have to say some like probably like Taxi Driver or Goodfellas or you know, that genre, that era.
Sure.
I watched a lot of movies, like, you know, I've seen Scarface probably like 20 times, but now I just notice all kinds of shit about it. I'm just like, man, why didn't they do this or that, you know? But when you go back to watch Taxi Driver and like Goodfellas like that, you don't see nothing where you're like,
masterpiece.
You know, you're just like, that's fucking sick.
For sure.
Like The Shining, One That Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you know, all those type of movies I could go watch today and just love it. Just be like, you know, that's a fucking movie right there.
Tell me one decision that changed your life forever.
The day that Muggs asked me to tour manage House of Pain, because I was doing construction and working at, like, I was in my early 20s, like, what would I have done?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be the 40, 50-year-old doorman, and I didn't want to be the, you know, 50-year-old guy, you know, with fucked up skin from doing construction for 20 years either. So at that point, I told, I think it was Brent Bolthouse and my construction boss, Zerga. I was like, hey, man, these guys want me to go on this thing just for the summer, you know, but I don't want to go unless I know I can come back to work, you know, because it was for no pay. It was only expenses.
Yeah.
So Zerga, my construction guy, was like, you got a job with me anytime. Like, you know, you're my hardest worker.
Nice.
And Brent Bolthouse and them said the same thing, you know, like, man, you know, you're our guy. Like, all that type of clubs, they, you know, I was respectful with everybody. I had fun with everybody, but, you know, I could still hold it down to where people wouldn't just walk on through, you know.
So if I worked for you, What's something I would hear you say over and over?
I would probably be think before you think, or like Zerga taught me. Like I'd be like, well, what am I supposed to do? Right here with this. And he goes, I don't know. Fucking be smarter than the wood. And I'd be like, this motherfucker, cocksucker. And I'd look at the thing and I'd be like, oh, how stupid. Like of course.
Right.
And I'd go grab the sandpaper and start,
Yeah.
doing what I gotta do, or build what I had to build at that time. But he fucked me up with those little sayings sometimes.
That's great.
Be smarter than the woods.
So sometimes I tell him, like my assistant, sometimes they go, I think that, and they come out with this way out dumb shit that I'm like, oh, fuck, man. I go, can you do me a favor? And they're like, what? I go, can you think before you think? And I go, that shit is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me that kind of dumb shit. I waste my time. You're wasting your time even.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And then I tell them, like, I repeat what they say, and I'm like, how about this way? Don't you think this would work better? And they're like, that's why you're the boss. Like, thank you. But like, I'm just cool, have fun with everybody I work with. Like,
yeah.
It sounds like, being a dick, but like, there's all the other, the other 25 hours in the day.
Sure.
Yeah, we're having fun.
That's right.
We're going to eat good food.
Yeah.
We're, looking at cool shit all day.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes I just get frustrated. I just have to, smash on them a little bit. But most of the time, they're having a good time. And, like, my one assistant, he used to be like, yeah, I'm tired, or I feel weird, or this. I go, oh, poor you. You flew to fucking Japan, business class, and you're in a 5-star hotel. Wah. Like, shut the fuck up, man. And they're like, okay. They're like, they like it, but at the same time.
But we all need that sometimes, like, reset your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Because, like, when I was raised, it was like the men were like men, like if you like whined or complained or you did any weird shit like that, they'd just be like, man, the fuck, where did you come from?
That's
right. Because I always worked with construction type places or on fishing boats, for 12, 13 hours a day, smell like a fish, and fucking, they did not want to hear no
complaining.
Bullshit. Yeah, they're like, oh, you're sick? You're tired? Yeah. Okay, good. Grab that brush over there and then just clean the sides of the boat from the front to the back, the 40 feet there. And then when you're done, just, if you could, just scrub a thing with some bleach so that, we don't have the fish smell.
Right.
Like, oh, God. I thought I just said I was tired and I didn't feel good. This motherfucker's making me scrub the whole boat. But that's how, when I
Keep
grew
your
up.
nose down and grind, or else you're going to get extra tasks.
Yeah. Shut up.
That's a
and
great
Yeah,
lesson.
no doubt.
go with the flow.
You won't complain next time.
We could all learn a little bit of that.
Yeah.
For sure.
All you gotta do is go work on a boat or a construction site.
Or go on the road
You
with
get a
Estevan.
real- Yeah.
Man, thanks for doing this with us. Incredible stories. I love hearing
Yeah.
your journey. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yo, that was Estevan Oriol on Rebel Radio, Artwork Rebels, Eddie Donaldson, Guerilla One. Shout out to everybody. Why don't you leave us a comment on our iTunes or hit us on Twitter or Facebook. Everything is at Rebel Radio Net. You can check out videos of a lot of our episodes on our YouTube page at Rebel Radio Net. But most importantly, come back next week for more Rebel Radio. Peace.